Good evening. Please stand for the pledge.
Good evening. Welcome to the Planning Board meeting of October 25th, 2023. We already opened an executive session this evening to discuss some pending litigation. We've closed our executive session. As a result, is there any resolutions from that meeting?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to offer a resolution, a motion to approve entry into stipulation of settlement to be executed by the Town Board of the Town of Carmel in the matter of New York SMSA Limited Partnership, DBA Verizon Wireless, and Homeland Towers LLC versus the Town of Carmel, pending in the United States District Court, Southern District of New York, docket number 19-CV-10793.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. First on tonight's agenda is P&R Real Estate, 122 Glenita Drive. Mike?
Yeah, this is on for resolution for the seeker, negative deck. I have no comments on this.
And Rich, you had some comments?
See, the same set of comments that I had last time, this is on, as Mike said, for seeker resolution, no comments to that. They want to be referred to the zoning board.
And Pat?
You have the negative declaration before you. Again, the next step in this is the trip over to the zoning board of appeals.
Yeah, good evening, Robert Sherwood, the landscape architect on the project, representing the client, P&R Estate Corp. As you recall, there were a couple of questions from the last meeting. One was the architecture, what we're going to do to dress up the building, and we had discussed adding a series of shutters to the front and sides of the building.
You have to use the microphone, pal. Microphone.
So we decided to obviously add shutters to the front and sides of the building that would be seen, so the house obviously looks more residential in style, which it does. And the other comments, questions from the board member was on the landscaping itself. And there is a landscaping plan that's part of the overall package. And again, it was designed to try to facilitate and give that look of that end of the street, more residential feel before hitting the bigger commercial buildings. As we are wanting to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals to get the various variances that we need, and then we would be coming back to you all again to answer any more questions that you might have at that point.
I think these improvements are terrific. I think this has been on the agenda many times in the past. We've had several different iterations. You know, that's a nice thoroughfare there. The time we spent on this, I think, was well worth it.
You needed to be lead agency before they could go to zoning board, just so you understand why it's...
Yeah, thank you. Any other comments from the board?
Looks good.
Or you want to
Mr. Chairman, I'll offer the resolution of the Planning Board of the Town of Carmel, number 23-24, dated October 25th, 2023, for tax map 44.13-2-68, P&R Realty Estate, 122 Glenita Avenue, seeker determination of significance, negative declaration.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
And, Mr. Chairman, I'll also make a motion to deny the applicant to the ZBA.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I think I'll stamp you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I need to stamp the drawing.
Thank you. Thank you all for your time. Good job.
Thanks, Ray. Thank you. Next on the agenda, Carmel Terminal, 790 Route 6, amended site plan. Mike?
The applicant proposes to upgrade the existing terminal. It's really for the biofuels. The buildings are obviously designed to look farm-like as best they can. They're kind of long buildings, but they use the right colors that we've been looking for in some of these areas. Properties in the C Commercial Zoning District. The code allows wholesale storage and distributive establishments, including lumber yards, so this is a permitted use. Provide lot depth and lot width lines on the plat. You wrote the numbers, but I just want to see the lines where you got them. How many employers are going to be there? We spoke, and they said 0, I believe, but if it is, just make sure it's on the map. I may have missed it, but I didn't see it anywhere. Variances were granted by the zoning board for frontage, lot width, driveway width, and side yard, and variances are required from the ZBA for front setback and rear setback. And last question, did you merge the lots yet? Okay, that was a requirement of one of the variances that were granted, that they merged the 2 lots, so they did do that.
Sorry to interrupt. So, Mike, to be clear, there was never established a front yard, rear yard setback variance. Those need to be sought now.
They're the 2 that are needed now, that I see. I mean, if you could find one. I found some old variances, but they
We had
weren't.
spoken before we submitted. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All right, yep.
Variance is likely a change to even that. These are new buildings with different setbacks.
Right.
Thanks, Mike. Rich?
Thank you. As Mike mentioned, this is an upgrade to the site to accommodate new biofuels at that site. General comments include referrals to the DEC, DEP, Department of Planning, Department of Highway, Carmel, Environmental Conservation Board possibly, and the Carmel Fire Department, regulatory permits, possibly needed for stormwater at the site, depending on the area disturbance. It looks like you're going to meet that. DEP for stormwater permit, possibly because it's in the downtown area. Again, it may not be needed. Carmel Environmental Conservation Board, water and sewer connection permit. It was unclear from the drawings if there is going to be a water and sewer connection. I know there's water there now, so there's a whole bunch of details. We need to figure out how you're going to abandon that water system. Town of Carmel Highway permit for work on and in Old Route 6. Submit a water wastewater report if it's needed. Stormwater maintenance agreement and performance bonds, associated engineering fees. There's some more detailed, as you well know. I always have a lot of detailed ones, mostly with water and sewer. There's a bunch of them dealing with what would be required if they were going to have water lines in there or sewer lines in there. But traffic, vehicle, and movement plans, all the site distances, slopes, and all that for the driveways, manholes, guide rails, town road specifications, driveway specifications, lighting spill plan, all standard stuff that we typically ask for. So I'm sure that Insight will get it to us, what is required for this.
Thank you, Rich. Pat?
So, as Mike and Rich mentioned, this is generally an upgrade of an existing facility. It's an open facility now. The tanks are out in the open, so is the fill facility. This would be all enclosed in new buildings, so generally a very good thing to do on the site, beneficial. Mike indicated a couple of variances are necessary. Just a few things to clarify with respect to this. So the first thing, and I think you answered the question already, is there's the trailer off to the side. Presumably that was some sort of an office operation. That goes away. There's nothing else in these buildings. There's no new office space in the buildings at all?
I'm sorry, if you're going to speak, you need to come to my, just for the people that are listening on the TV, state your name and...
Good evening, Raymond Durkin from Carmel Terminals. Inside the building where the tanks are, we will have just a small room, no employees or anything, but it's mainly just for computer equipment because it's an automated facility. So cameras, computers, and stuff like that, where we put it. But
Will there
no,
be a restroom in there?
no.
And is there an employee in there, or do you just?
No. Everything is automated and goes back to our main office. Cameras, electronics. When the guys come in, it's all key code. It's just like a debit card. They all have to be approved. No, you can't come in, you can't operate anything without it.
I'm getting ahead of myself, I guess. but-
Yeah, so a couple of other issues. Obviously, the removal, decommissioning of the equipment that's there are all there under the supervision of DEC. I think the health department may have some role in that. Coordinating that with our approval is essential. If there's some condition or mitigation measure that's necessary that has to be reflected on the plan, obviously, we should know that. So a level of coordination is necessary between those agencies. Right now, the site, there's no curb cut, it's sort of all open. Typically, we like to have some understanding of how vehicles maneuver through the site, so if you could, Adam, provide a truck maneuvering sequence. Ideally, we'd like to have curb cuts. If that doesn't lend itself to that because of the nature of the business, let us know.
That is an issue, because we come in with large trucks, tractor trailers, and the way it is, it wouldn't, there's not the depth to go in and turn them around.
So I figured that's the answer, but show us how those vehicles maneuver on the site so we get an understanding of that. The volume of this, so we've had a couple of other facilities, propane storage facilities. How many trucks per day, how many trucks per week, so we understand the volume. And is this, by your switch to biofuel, is it changing the intensity of the use of the site? Instead of 2 trucks a day, now there'll be 100 trucks a day because it's so, clarify that, and you don't have to answer now. Will you store vehicles on the site, park them on the site? Will
We
trucks
do
be
at
there?
times, yes, which we've
So
always,
that should be shown on the site plan. This is where overnight storage
Yep.
will be. It should be identified on the site plan. Adam, you've given us some lighting details, but this sort of the spill plan, illumination levels.
Yep.
So I don't know if this has to be a secure site with lots of high-intensity lights, don't know. That should be on the plan as well. There's a new containment dike, there's some new retaining walls and a little bit of grading. So Rich has to take a look at that, and with respect to that, that means soil movement on a site that may be contaminated to prior use, so that soil movement export needs to be carefully monitored. So that's another DEC issue. I think you clarified the water service goes away. Is fire suppression in the buildings? Is that being any?
no, by code, it's not needed.
One thing that wasn't clear, and I don't know if Mike picked it up, was the height of the buildings. So I don't know if that one-story building is extra tall because of the nature of what's inside. So if you could just clarify the dimensional height of those buildings. Are the buildings heated and cooled?
No.
That's another question. The grading, oh, and one final thing, I noticed one oil separator in where the trucks offload, but there's trucks, as shown in that illustration, elsewhere on the site that stay there. Is it necessary to have more than one oil separator on the site? Don't know. Rich should take a look at that as well.
Yeah, we'll need the details on that, too.
And this is an unlisted action under seeker, so designate yourself lead agency tonight so we can start that coordinated review with everybody else.
Maybe it's best if you give us a little bit of an overview right now, what this upgrade, I'll call it an upgrade, is all about, and then I'll open up to the board.
Okay. Currently, we sell number 2 fuel oil there. We're switching over to biofuel. We also have a grant from the government. They're involved in it. It's one way the government wants to go, be biofuel. The buildings, we don't need to do, to be honest, per code. We're just doing it to make it look nicer for the road and everything like that. They're not heated. It's just for show. It's basically to cover everything up. The use is going to be the same. There'll be no increase or anything like that. It's going to be the same as it is. You won't, the only difference you'll know is the tanks are going to be hidden. That's basically it.
Is there a time frame on the government funding? You had mentioned that when we had met.
Well, there is a time frame. It starts when we start construction. We have to tell them when we're starting, and then we have it. But our time frame is very tight because we want to start right after this winter and do it during the summer and be open for the following winter. The time frame is on us, not the government.
See, does this put you out of commission for a season? Or
Yes. And we've already been in touch with the DEC. We're trying to do everybody early to start the communication. All the testing, all that stuff, we will be doing, and the DEC is involved already.
Will there be a, please go ahead.
I'm just being, a biofuel site, is the site going to smell like french fries?
Excuse me?
Will the site smell like french fries? That's the question with biofuel.
Jack, will it?
So is there going to be a lot of soil movement? And the reason why I ask is, I would assume there's some, not in a bad way, but contaminated soil on site just because of the nature of the business?
Honestly, we've already done some test holes, and we've come up with no contamination. All our tanks are above ground, and I'm not saying, we try to run, we've ripped our we own and operate several other oil storage facilities. All our tanks are above ground years ago. They're all enclosed steel. We have another one in Mahopac. We don't have contamination.
Great, great.
I'm not saying that we're going to be testing it again. We bought the site from another contract, another oil company, many, many years ago. Don't know. There's not going to be much. We're going to dig the wall back a bit, but if we hit rock or ledge, we're going to stop.
Okay. Questions from the board?
Yeah, the only question I have, so the only utility in there is electric, right? There's no plumbing, no,
No, currently we have sewer and water.
okay, but no restroom at all? No sinks, nothing like that?
In the new facility, no. We are going to use probably some frost-free, just for water, have water on site when we wash stuff down or something like that. But no, no bathrooms.
So this building's not staffed during the day?
No. It's all automated with cameras.
Wow.
That's currently the way it is.
That's what I was going to ask. Are you currently doing business that way?
Yes, it's been that way for 15 years, 10, 15 years.
I'm a little, I mean, I guess it's more of a question for our consultants, but I'm a little surprised to hear that there's no fire suppression required. Given
Oil's
that-
totally different than gasoline. when
Oil's
you're
not
thinking-
flammable.
Sorry?
You can't light it on fire. You'd have to
Yeah, but
mystify it first.
but they said here diesel fuel, a diesel tank.
Diesel is oil. It doesn't,
You could
can't-
drop a
you have to
cigarette,
compress
a
it.
match, you could throw it right in it, and it goes out.
I have to be honest, that surprises me. I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Me too.
No.
Do we need to do a referral to the fire department just to cover
It-
bases?
It mentions it on
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think, yeah.
Yes.
And one other question, what is it about, is there something special about diesel biofuel that requires different equipment, or is it just basically same stuff?
It's
different
basically the
source?
same. The equipment has been changing over the years to accept biofuels, so there'll be no issues, meaning gaskets and other fuels on an oil burner. But it's instead of coming from a foreign country, most of it's made here in America, soybean, et cetera, other products.
It's supposed to be cleaner too, and
Yes.
the
The
combustion.
The carbon is carbon neutral. It burns cleaner than natural gas, propane. It's very clean.
And are there hours of operation, even though it's automated, or
We're a 24/7 operation.
currently
Because
you are?
currently, it's always been that way. Honestly, the only time, we're a weather-dependent business. Obviously, for 8, 9 months out of the year, if it's freezing cold, trucks might be in there at 8, 9 o'clock. But otherwise, it's pretty quiet.
And one thing to point out, this is the industrial road of the town, so this is where a facility like this belongs. A lot of the issues we might have if this were somewhere else in a residential area, for example, doesn't apply here, so.
I actually like we've had several projects in the last 2 months come by us, all this must be the third or fourth project right there on Old Route 6. This board plays the architectural review role also. Can you tell us a little bit about the structure of your building and materials? Tell us about it.
It's going to be a metal building.
What kind of roof?
Metal roof.
Standing seam.
Yeah, it's a non-insulated building, metal roof, metal siding.
I'm sorry, you need to repeat it, or, yeah. State your name and,
My name's Jack Durkin. I'm also with Carmel Terminals. As far as the building goes, it'll be a completely metal building. There will be the concrete dike on the bottom third of the building that you can see in the rendering. We might do some type of brick facade or stone facade or thin brick veneer around that to kind of sprucing up the building a little bit to kind of complement the red and gray aspects of the remainder of the building. But like I said earlier, there's no insulation in the building, metal roof, metal siding. That goes to the same as the loading rack building as well. They'll be built to complement each other and match each other and the rest of the site.
now, did you say to Pat earlier, Pat, when you asked about the trailer that's currently there, that's going away, that's being removed?
The trailer's being removed, yep, it's
Okay.
gone. To speak a little bit more about the bio, I don't know if you have any questions. We're working in a partnership with the USDA. It's the United States Department of Agriculture. They're providing grants to incentivize the distribution of biofuels. It's the way the energy industry is kind of shifting and has been shifting over the past 10 years or so. We're just trying to get ahead of the curve. There was grant opportunities made available to our industry, and we chose to capitalize on them, which is why we went after it and are working with them. But it's our movement in trying to go green with the energy industry. It's just trying to kind of stay ahead of the curve.
Are you transforming the other locations also like this?
We have not yet, no.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question? Is this dependent on the grants? Do you have those grants? If you lose the grant, does the project go away?
We've received the grant. We have signed grant agreements with the USDA, so we have committed to building the project. I hope that answers your question, but yeah.
If we didn't get the grant, we wouldn't have been putting the buildings up, because we're saving some money, trying to dial it up.
Looks great.
Does look good.
Any other comments from the board?
I'd like to make a motion to declare the planning board the lead agency on this project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you. Just before we go tonight,
Thanks.
given the discussion about the required variances, I know it's early, you know, this board typically doesn't go in the first meeting. Given the extent of the variant, or the proximity of the structure to the property lines, there's really not a project without the variances. If the board thought it was appropriate to refer us to the ZBA tonight, that would help us, you know, continue to move this along.
Rich, there's a lot of comments you have here.
The only thing I would offer, Mr. Chairman, is none of our comments, I don't believe, would change the footprint of that
Right.
building. So it's
Yeah.
entirely up to you.
I like the improvements here. I like that they're, like you said, a lot of this didn't need to be done. It's got to come back to us anyway. I don't know if the board agrees with me, but I'm willing to make a motion to put this to the zoning board. I'll make a motion.
So I'll make a motion to deny the applicant to the zoning board.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll try to move things along a little bit.
We had a pre-submission meeting, and they addressed everything pretty much from that, so.
All right, so my comments are relatively straightforward. It does not impact anything that would be in zoning, as Pat mentioned. So a lot of my comments can be thrown out because they get rid of water and sewer. If they were putting water and sewer, there would have been those comments in
Thank you.
there. They're not doing it, so.
Yeah. No, it's good when we can work with the applicant. Thank you, nice submission. Next on the agenda, Lake Plaza Shopping Center, LLC, for bond return.
Yes.
Rich? My only mic, I didn't come.
So, yeah, this is all engineering. We performed numerous site visits on this site. And the bond, the most recent one prior to this year was June 18th. We went there on October 18th. The original bond of $1.26 million was reduced in June of 19 to $912 to $350,000. All prior noted areas of concern have been addressed. This bond can be returned, $350,000. So.
Okay.
Sounds good.
I make a motion to return the bond in full.
Second.
This needs to be recommended to the town
Well,
board.
that's right. Okay, I make a motion that we recommend to the town board that the bond be returned.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, guys.
Does this need to go for a public hearing? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Have a good evening. Rose did not distribute any minutes, so, John, you want to make a motion to adjourn?
Sure. Mr. Chairman, make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Thank
night.
you.